we see a lot of friction in post-production processes, especially in combination with like cloud MEMS. If you want to edit media that is hosted in a cloud MEM and stored in object storage in the cloud, with all the systems you need to download a proxy or download a high-res and relink stuff later. So we are at NEB showing 9 integration partners that have embedded our technology. So they have their own panel in Premiere. You can select a clip, move to local bin, and you can edit. No downloading, no moving of files. So it works instantly. MediaAnywhere is a startup. We are now 16 months old.
16 months?
Yeah, co-founded by James Kane, Richard Cartwright and me. And we are building a different way of handling media.
Everybody says they're doing a different way of... How can you do media differently?
We don't believe in the folder structure, a file system as an abstraction for media. So what we are, the web is built differently, and we want to be using those technologies.
Well, what's wrong with the file structure we're using now?
When you change the name of a media file, then the workflow breaks. If you move that file in another folder, it also breaks. You need to know the exact address, the IP address of the server and stuff. And we believe in using web technology. And if, like for instance, Google, if you want to search for your name on Google, you don't need to know the folder, the server of Google, where a text document is stored under the L with your name on it. So we are bringing that to media.
Explain to me how that works.
So what we do is the first time we see a file, and that is existing MXF or MP4 or whatever, we make an index and we give each frame a unique URL. And from then on, we can approach any frame in that video very quickly over HTTP.
But how does the software track it? Because the software tracks the full path, traditionally tracks the path of where the file is located, the file name, and it does a frame count from inside the file. How do you tell the editing system that you're using this new technology? Do I have to get all new editors?
No. So today we have on the market a Mac and a PC version for Premiere. It also works on After Effects and Audition and Media Encoder. And you need to install a driver, and that enables Premiere to work with media that is hosted in S3.
So if I've got a file that I've copied to hard disk 1, and I take that file and import it into a Premiere project and then move it to hard disk 2, your index will track it?
Now, it's more targeted where media is stored centrally.
Stored on a server.
Yeah, so the product today, we're focusing on enabling Premiere to work with media in S3 directly without making a proxy or without downloading it or moving it to a file system. So we are streaming those frames from S3 using standard web technology to the editor.
Okay, so I'm not working with local storage, I'm working with cloud storage. But the cloud storage tells us that it doesn't have to care, we don't have to know the path name for the cloud file.
Yeah, but technically we could run on local storage, but we are currently focusing on the cloud because we see a lot of need with big media companies that have huge archives in S3 that now need to make a copy to a file system or download a proxy before they can edit. And with our technology, you can edit straight away.
I love the technology of being able to move a file without worrying about it. That's excellent. I'm not in love with the idea of it being on the cloud because the cloud opens up all kinds of security and privacy issues. How are you keeping our media secure and making sure that nobody else knows what we're working on?
We are using, it's fully zero trust environment. So the frames, when they are streamed over the internet, are encrypted. When the editor gets them, when the editor downloads them, we are storing them, and that's also encrypted. So in fact, our technology improves security drastically because there's no media local that could be used. So if an editor goes rogue, and loses access, then the local cache becomes unusable, and also the media in the cloud that is behind web server technology becomes unreachable. So it's way more secure than working today.
If am I streaming the file as I'm editing it, or am I downloading the file so it's stored on my local system?
No. As soon as you load a clip in Premiere, it caches the first frames. We do that, it's caching locally, but once you press play, we then, based on the API calls of Premiere, we are downloading the right frames
About how much are you caching? A second, 10 seconds?
What Premiere is doing. So we are using the caching system mechanism of Premiere itself. Technically, we also have this working for Media Composer. So that was the first iteration to develop it. But last year's NEB, we got more interest for Premiere. So we started focusing on that. But technically, we can do the same with Media Composer.
How are you pricing the system? In other words, is it affordable by small work groups, or is it more of an enterprise project?
Today, we are using the technology to approach enterprises, so large media, global media organizations. But in future iterations, future versions, we will launch a product that is for a larger market.
Well, I put in a vote for moving it so smaller companies can take advantage of it, but do you think there's a way that this technology could be used on a local storage rather than on cloud storage?
We can run anywhere. Technically, there's no limitation. As long as we can run some compute locally to create those indexes and unique URLs for each frame, we're not dependent on some cloud technology or something. It's just our first go-to-market.
It's an amazing technology. That's really cool.
Thank you.
If you were to tell people what the key features and benefits of MediaAnywhere is for someone that hasn't heard of it, what would you say?
We see a lot of friction in post-production processes, especially in combination with like cloud MEMS. If you want to edit media that is hosted in a cloud MEM and stored in object storage in the cloud, with all the systems you need to download a proxy or download a high-res and relink stuff later. So we are at NEB showing 9 integration partners that have embedded our technology. So they have their own panel in Premiere. You can select a clip, move to local bin, and you can edit. No downloading, no moving of files. So it works instantly.
Peter, thank you very much.
Thank you for the interview.